Greetings all, and welcome to the beginning of my coverage of E3 2018. Now, we're still about a week off, so we've got a little bit of time left to do the obligatory videos containing predictions, expectations, and overall pipe dreams, because let's face it, not everything on my wish list is gonna happen, but here's what I've got. So jumping right into it, I just want to make a note. So I don't know about you guys, but this year there have been an awful lot of games, in my opinion, that have been either leaked or otherwise announced before E3 even hit. I mean, like a week or two before the show hits, big developers are announcing big games, and that's cool. I'm just hoping they don't, you know, blow their load a little too early and have nothing left to show for E3. I'm sure most of these guys have a few surprises up their sleeves. The big one right off the bat, Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. Yeah, kind of took everyone by surprise, myself included. I'm just kind of wondering, for those who haven't heard about it, it looks like it's the next potentially main series Pokemon game. I mean, it's not gonna be main series because they've already subtitled it Let's Go, but just from everything we've seen of the game so far, in terms of the graphics, the overworld layout, and even to a certain degree the catching of the Pokemon, this seems like it's built very similarly to a main series Pokemon game. Of course, the catch here is, I don't know if there's Pokemon battles, I assume there is, I hope there is, but the big catch with this game is that there's going to be a controller that looks like a Pokeball, so you can motion throw the Pokeball at the screen and capture the Pokemon in real time. Pretty mind-blowing stuff if you ask me, and I feel like the fan reaction so far has been very mixed, kind of negative. A lot of people saying like, oh, what is this, you know, just like a Pokemon Go tie-in game, or, you know, this is made for kids, you know, this isn't the main series Pokemon game we asked for or were promised. I get that, but first of all, the game, from what little they've shown us, the game does look pretty good so far. I'm interested to see either more about it, if not play it. I'm putting that, you know, that one's on my radar, regardless of what people say. I mean, if not for anything else, this is one thing I kind of thought of. I don't know about if it was just me, but as a kid, I always thought it would be so cool to have a game, or not even a kid, but when I was younger, I thought it would be so cool to have a Pokemon game where you walk into the wild and you throw the Pokeball and you catch the Pokemon, and, you know, a very one-to-one experience, like almost like open world. And this game kind of seems to be very close to what at least I've been dreaming of for many years now. So I'm kind of excited for it. Again, I'm not quite sure exactly how complex or in-depth the game is going to go, but it definitely looks interesting and at the very least good. That aside, the next game that already was announced, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the sequel to Assassin's Creed Origins. That one was leaked in a very funny manner. I think it was a like promotional, I don't even know what it was. It looked like a bottle opener, but with, like, you know, a Spartan helmet on top of it with the Assassin's Creed logo. You know, a picture of a promo item got leaked. And then Ubisoft followed up with a, hey guys, see you at E3. It was very graceful recovery, in a sense. I have nothing really to say about that other than I feel like we just got a new Assassin's Creed game. I don't remember the exact date. I'm gonna say it was like holiday of this past year. Like, it's been 6 months and they're already announcing the next Assassin's Creed game. I mean, I know Assassin's Creed has had a bad habit of putting out annual releases, and it seemed for a minute there like Ubisoft was cooling down a little bit, but nope, they're right back into it. They've gone full Call of Duty again, every year, new installment, whether you like it or not. And the third and final game that's already been announced that I think is worth noting is Fallout 76, the 76th title in the series, I believe, if they've named that correctly. There's 3 pretty major titles, as far as I'm concerned, have already been leaked or announced before E3. So that's that. So moving on to, you know, the bulk of this video, I'm going to be talking about, obviously, my predictions, the things I want to see, things I'm expecting. I'm not gonna lie, it's gonna be mostly focused on Nintendo because because Nintendo's my boy, you know, gotta look out for him. But first, before I jump into that, one quick thing from Bethesda. If there's any one thing I want to see from Bethesda, it is anything confirming Doom 2 or Doom 2016 2. The sequel to the game that came out just a few years ago. I'm a huge Doom fan. I love the 2016 remake. I thought it offered a lot of great, new, interesting things to the series, and graphically was gorgeous, as Doom really should be. And it's been at least 2 years now since that game came out, and we haven't had even a hint of a sequel, which is a little disappointing. Even more disappointing when you consider that the season pass of DLC for Doom was pretty much all towards multiplayer and map maker, whatever mode they called that, but there was no single player expansion packs, and that really disappointed me because I thought Doom had a really strong single player. And even if like the DLC maps had nothing to do with the story or plot, were totally non-canon, I don't care, I just want to play more Doom. I had a great time playing through that game, and I'm itching for that next one. I know we're living in different times now, but the original Doom 2 came out like a year after Doom 1. So we're already twice as long as that. All I want to say is, Bethesda, if you're listening, Doom 2, now. I want to hear it. That said, if Bethesda does announce Doom 2, or whatever they're going to call it, I'm going to predict it would be for a spring 2019 release. Just throwing it out there. I'm thinking they're going to announce it, then have, you know, a whole holiday season to get it together. They might release it as early as Holiday 18, but I think since they haven't mentioned it yet, that it's still too early in development for that soon of a release window. I'm saying 2019. I'm hoping 2019. Please don't make me wait till 2020. On to the meat and potatoes here. Nintendo. My boys, Nintendo. I'm just gonna jump down the various lists of popular IPs and just throw my 2 cents in here and there. Starting off with Star Fox, for a reason. Now, Star Fox is in a weird position, and I do mean weird. As far as the narrative goes, the plot goes, Star Fox Zero for the Wii U was a reboot, so the latest game before that was Star Fox Command on the DS. And I love that game, and what's interesting about that game is that it had 9 unique endings. 3 of them were throwaways, 3 of them were plausible, and then 3 of them were like, okay, this is definitely how it's most likely gonna play out. But as far as plot goes, yes, the multiple endings were cool, but they totally wrote themselves into a corner, and it seems Nintendo doesn't quite know how to write themselves out of this situation. As is evidenced by me through Star Fox Zero, which is Nintendo saying, let's just start over again. I'm sure we'll get it right this time. That's all well and good. You could reboot the Star Fox series, but Star Fox Zero was notoriously poorly reviewed across the board. I played it for maybe like an hour or 2. I liked it. I didn't love it. I think just like everybody else, the control scheme didn't do it for me. You know, if Star Fox Zero were, you know, if you gave me a controller, I would have played the shit out of that game. But you gave me the weird Wii U cockpit view, quasi-TV view. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. So, you know, right now, Star Fox doesn't really have a plot to work with, nor does it even really have favor with the fans. It's in this weird position where everybody loves Star Fox, but Star Fox itself isn't doing too well. That said, I've heard rumors, simply rumors, that there's potentially a Star Fox racing game to be announced or in the future, currently being tossed around as Star Fox Grand Prix. While I was initially a little turned off by that idea, like, you know, come on, Star Fox needs a good bump right now. It doesn't need a side party game. But I thought about it a little bit. I'm like, you know what? There's a decent amount of carts. There's a decent, or carts, like it's a kart racer, but there's a decent amount of ships. There's a decent amount of characters, and you know, space and alien planets. I mean, I think that could be a really awesome racing game. On top of all that, rumor also has it that Retro Studios, the studio behind Metroid Prime and Donkey Kong Country Returns, is offering their magic towards Star Fox to bring them back into the forefront. And if all of this is true, Retro Studios making a Star Fox racing game, I think it's going to be awesome. I think that might potentially lead to a certain revival that Star Fox needs right now. I mean, there was also Star Fox 2 that was released on the Super NES Classic or Mini. I don't know, I can't keep track of the names, but yeah, that was a big moment for Star Fox. But I think even then that appealed more to the old heads as opposed to the new kids on the block. You know, the younger kids would probably enjoy playing the game, but I think it's people a little bit older who were like, "Oh shit, Star Fox 2, that game I've been hearing about for years." You know, that was big. I'm getting off topic. Moving on to Mario. For the most part, Nintendo just released Super Mario Odyssey. That's their game right there. I can't remember offhand if they plan on doing any DLC for it, but even if they don't do any DLC, or even if they haven't done any DLC yet, Mario Odyssey is the latest main series Mario game. You know, they don't come very often. I don't see any major announcements coming in the realm of Super Mario, with the exception of Mario Tennis Aces. I think we're going to get, you know, the full details. You know, the game's release is right around the corner, so I assume E3 is more or less just going to be bumping the game up, you know, pumping it up, telling you all the details, and hopefully it'll be good, because I can't remember what the Mario Tennis game for Wii U was called. I could probably look this up. Oh yeah, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. What a disappointment. For as good as the tennis games have been, I was not a fan of that one. So hopefully Mario Tennis Aces will be as good as the rest, and it's already looking pretty decent. Also in the world of Mario, Mario Party 11. You know, I mean, they put a Mario Party game out like pretty much every year, and Switch does not yet have a Mario Party. I think a new Mario Party it would make sense. Again, considering how little else, you know, you don't want to. Nintendo obviously doesn't want to overshadow Odyssey. Related to Mario is Wario, and all I gotta say is, I want a new Wario Land. Damn it! Not a Wario World, not a WarioWare, Wario Land. Alright, the last Wario Land game we had was Shake It for the Wii. And that was pushing 10 years ago by now, and that was a phenomenal game. I love the Wario Land series. To me, it's like a perfect counterpoint to the Mario Land series. You know, it's equally as good, just with different spin on it, different flavor. And if Nintendo announces that at E3, I'll shit my pants. That'll be too much. I don't think Nintendo really cares to do Wario or 2D games for that matter, so I'm not hopeful, but boy howdy would that make me happy. That said, I do expect Nintendo to announce some sort of WarioWare game for the Switch. It's an inevitability. Ever since WarioWare came out on the Game Boy Advance, every console, whether it was handheld or home console, has featured at least one WarioWare game, typically to show off the tech of the device. I think the Switch is going to be no different. The Switch has a lot of interesting technology to make a Wario Land or WarioWare game out of, and like I said, it's only a matter of time before they announce it. I think this E3 would be a great time to bring it up. It's only a year old, but I mean, the Switch is new, it's fresh, it's successful, you know, it's got a lot of steam going right now. You know, I think now would be a good time to say, hey, WarioWare game, you know, boom. Moving on to Donkey Kong franchise. Not much to say about that. They just re-released Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, and it's finally getting the exposure it deserves, and somehow some of the reviews are better. Not quite sure how that worked out. But at this point, it would be suicide to announce another Donkey Kong game, you know? As it was, Tropical Freeze did not get the spotlight and the acclaim it deserved at the time it was released. And it's so rare that great gems like those get a second chance on another console for more people to experience and appreciate. And Tropical Freeze got that chance. You know, I don't think Nintendo should announce anything Donkey Kong related at all. No side games, no racing game, nothing. I think that if anything, they should continue pushing Tropical Freeze. So next up is Punch-Out. I love me some Punch-Out. I may not be the best Punch-Out player, but I do enjoy the games, and the Wii Punch-Out was a phenomenal game. I mean, really, it was made by like a third-party developer, something along those lines. You know, it just came out of left field. You know, it was a long hiatus between Punch-Out games, and Punch-Out for Wii, forgive the pun, but knocked it out of the park. That was just a really great game. It was a great Punch-Out game and just an overall great game. And Wii U obviously couldn't feature everything in its short lifespan, but it's been a few years now since Punch-Out for Wii, and considering the Switch has the Joy-Cons with, you know, HD Rumble and all that, I think it's an absolutely perfect fit. Perhaps the best fit ever for a Punch-Out game. I mean, I'm not saying I necessarily expect Nintendo to announce a Punch-Out for Switch this E3, but I really hope it happens eventually. But if they did announce it this E3, I'd be like, yes! Yeah, just that's a win right there. But not holding my breath on that one. Next up is the big Z, Zelda. This one kind of falls into the same category. Just like Mario recently released Odyssey and Donkey Kong recently re-released Tropical Freeze, Zelda's still riding high off of Breath of the Wild. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm pretty sure there's still Nintendo's still supporting Breath of the Wild with DLC. You know, sales are up, you know, people are eating up the game, they're loving it, the reviews are coming in great. This is another scenario where I don't think Nintendo should talk about anything Zelda other than Breath of the Wild. I mean, it's a little bit older by now than Odyssey was, so I could maybe see Nintendo announcing some sort of Zelda side game or spin-off game a la Triforce Heroes. But even then, I don't particularly see it, since those are typically less popular games anyway. You know, I think Nintendo is likely going to stick to just talking about Breath of the Wild if they're gonna talk about Zelda at all, which they probably will. Next up is Fire Emblem. I love me some Fire Emblem. Unfortunately, I'm a little backlogged currently in the series. The games lately, ever since they started coming out in the West, Fire Emblem games come out pretty frequently. I feel like every other year there's a new Fire Emblem game. And as fun as those games are, they're not short. Especially if you play like me, you know, like the hardcore fans, nobody dies on your team. That can be a very long game to get through. And like I said, they come out somewhat frequently, so I would not be surprised at all if Nintendo announced some sort of Fire Emblem for the Switch. By the same token, I could see it's maybe a little too early, so it's hard to say which way that one's gonna go at the moment. But again, there's going to be a Fire Emblem on the Switch. It's just gonna be a matter of when. On to everyone's favorite pink vacuum, Kirby. Kirby's another game, another one. Just somewhat recently released a new game, Star Allies. I think that just came out like a month or two ago. So I don't see Nintendo talking about Kirby at all, really. Maybe talking a little bit about Star Allies, but I don't think Nintendo's gonna announce anything new in the realm of Kirby. And that's fine, you know. I mean, it was only, what, like in September or so of this past year, 17, that Kirby Planet Robotron came out for the 3DS, so within the past 9 months or so, we've had a new Kirby game on the 3DS and the Switch, so I think they're gonna lay low on Kirby for E3. And again, that's fine. Now on to my big one here, Pikmin. Oh my god, Pikmin. While I am not hopeful by any means, I would absolutely love a Pikmin 4 announced for Switch. I want it. I need it. I'm a big Pikmin fan. Pikmin 3 was good. I enjoyed it. Unfortunately, it came out on the Wii U, so nobody played it, I guess. I think Pikmin, as much as I would love a Pikmin 4, at this point, I could totally understand if Nintendo announces a re-release or otherwise enhanced port of Pikmin 3 for the Switch. It'll just give the game the chance it deserved to shine, and I think it'll help bring in new Pikmin fans, and it'll also help pave the way for what will hopefully in the future be Pikmin 4. Is that so much to ask, really? At this point, is that so much to ask? Just a little bit of Pikmin love. Come on. Come on, Nintendo. So getting towards the end of the list here, I'm now at my miscellaneous or other list. Not specifically towards any one IP, just kind of Nintendo general. I do expect Nintendo to announce some new Labo kits for the future. I think there's 2 or 3 kits already. I think there were 2 at launch, and there may have already been 1 since then. Don't quote me on that one. I haven't been following Labo that closely. That said, considering they're just like small, you know, expansions sets. What would they call them? Expansion pack. Yes. Oh my God, it's been so long. But it'll essentially be an expansion pack to Labo. And considering Labo's so new, so fresh, I expect them to announce 2 new packs for Holiday 18. I think. Considering it's such a great kids toy and kids activity, I think they're definitely going to announce some new Labo stuff, again, for Holiday. One of the obvious ones I think we've all kind of been waiting for, and we all know it's going to happen, is Nintendo giving us the full details on Nintendo Online, which has already been set a while ago to release in September. So come September, you will be able to play online on Switch. I think it's already been announced for $20 a year. We've gotten some details. Most of the details are still scarce. You know, we got the most important stuff, when it comes out, what the price point's going to be, generally speaking, what the service is going to provide, but we really don't have much to sink our teeth into, and I'm not saying September's around the corner, but as far as E3 is concerned, September's around the corner. So, I think Nintendo's just going to give us the full details on Nintendo Online, everything we need to know. Which brings me into the last portion here, Virtual Console. What is the future of Virtual Console? Well, we don't know yet. Nintendo has officially stated that Virtual Console will be discontinued, or that is to say, it will not be coming to Switch. Now, does this mean the end of digital distribution for their old games or classic games? I don't think so. There's already been some word that part of the Nintendo Online subscription, you would probably get like a classic game or 2 every month, kind of like how all these services do. You know, pay a yearly fee, get a free few games every month. But to me, I don't think that's going to be the extent of it. I think that means that would mean that only Nintendo Online subscribers will ever be able to play any retro games on the Switch. And I don't think Nintendo's going to go down that path. Yes, they're being very vague on details right now, but Nintendo historically has done a very good job of making their old games available to the new audiences. You know, they paid tribute and reverence to the games that made the company what it is today. You know, Nintendo has pretty much on every console since the online age has had the capability of being able to buy and download all your old games, all the classic games you love, and play them. I think to not have that option available on the Switch would be a mistake. I mean, that probably goes without saying. I mean, yes, I still have my Wii and my Wii U. I can play my classic games on those, but that's not the point, you know. The Switch is a modern-day, cutting-edge console. You know, we expect by now to be able to play all those games. So, again, I don't know what's gonna come of it, but I'm fairly certain Nintendo in some form is going to rebrand or otherwise create a new service akin to Virtual Console. I don't know if they're gonna talk about it at E3. I think they really should talk about it at E3 because a lot of people are waiting for answers, and E3 would be the time to give us those answers. So we shall see with that. And on to the final discussion piece here, 3DS. The future of the 3DS and what that has in store. I love the 3DS. Full disclosure, I think it's the best handheld gaming console ever. I think Nintendo, I was quite unsure of it at first, but Nintendo really sold me on the 3DS. I mean, that thing does everything. The stereoscopic 3D alone just puts it on a tier unlike any other console. Yes, you know, PlayStation, you have the 3D effect and stuff, but nothing will ever, to me, nothing tops 3DS's 3D capability. It's just phenomenal. But yeah, the 3DS is getting old. That thing came out, what, like 2010, somewhere around there? Yes, the lifespan of a handheld console typically lasts a little bit longer than the home console lifespan. Nintendo usually lets the handhelds go another year or two, a year or two longer before swapping them out. Even still, it's about that time for a successor to the 3DS, which is quite uncertain at this time. Nobody knows what Nintendo is planning, you know, because the Switch is home console and handheld. So what comes after this? Is there going to be a new handheld? Is there going to be a successor to the 3DS? We're not quite sure yet. I know there are a handful of people out there who complain, why put anything out on the 3DS at all when the Switch is portable? Well, you know, aside from the 3D, it's, I would argue, more portable than the Switch is, and definitely less likely to get damaged when portable. But yeah, I'm not going to go through all the things, but you know, the 3DS is a great console. They just released they released the new 3DS, what, like a year or two ago? So, you know, that's a beefier version of the 3DS meant to play more high-intensity games. You know, it was meant to extend the lifespan of the 3DS for at least another year or two, at least or potentially 3. But unfortunately, as is typically the case with these things, it's just underutilized. I think I compare the new 3DS to the expansion pack for the Nintendo 64, in that it was able to make, it was the 64 just a little bit stronger. So, you know, it could extend the late lifespan of the console by saying, hey, we're still coming out with bangers, you know? But unfortunately, it was just underutilized. You know, you had Donkey Kong 64, you had Perfect Dark, and you had Zelda Majora's Mask. Those were the only 3 games, to my memory, that even used the expansion pack. And same thing seems to be occurring here with the new 3DS. I've bought a handful of games for the 3DS since the new 3DS came out, but I would say only 1 or 2 of them are labeled, you know, new 3DS capable, you know. Even though new games are coming out, still so few of them are being made to work specifically with the new 3DS's hardware that it's kind of like, you know, you're giving yourselves that extension, but then you're not utilizing it. So, you know, it's hard to say what's going to happen. At this point, I'd say the 3DS maybe has another year left. You know, Nintendo's still putting out games for the device, fewer and fewer, but they're still supporting the 3DS, so it's not gonna just like die overnight. At the same time, again, due to the uncertain future of Nintendo's hardware, we're not quite sure what's gonna happen next. But hopefully we'll find out at least a little bit more about that in a week's time when E3 hits. That being the case, stick around, I'll be back soon, reporting on everything as it comes in. This is Lord Coucha, signing off. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Subscribe to this channel for continual, up-to-date coverage of E3 all week long. Also, like this video if you liked this video, and do yourself a favor and click on that bell icon below to be alerted as new information comes in.